First contact gone wrong. Admiral Elena Santos stood at the bridge of the ESS Horizon, her weathered hands clasped behind her back as she watched the alien delegation's ships approach through the holographic display. After 2 centuries of space exploration, humanity had finally made contact with an advanced civilization. The Vax Theory, as they called themselves, had reached out through deep space transmissions, expressing their desire for peaceful first contact. The timing couldn't have been better. Earth's colonies were struggling with resource shortages, and the promise of trade with an advanced civilization offered hope. Yet something about the Vax Theory fleet formation nagged at Santos's military instincts. Their ships moved with a precision that seemed more appropriate for combat than diplomacy. "Admiral, energy spike detected from the lead vessel," Lieutenant Chen reported, his fingers dancing across the neural interface panel. "They claim it's a standard greeting protocol." The rest of his words were lost in a blinding flash as the Vax Theory ships opened fire. Their energy weapons struck the Horizon's shields with devastating force, but instead of shattering them as the aliens clearly expected, the barriers held. Santos allowed herself a grim smile. The Vax Theory had just made a terrible mistake. They'd assumed humanity's technological level based on their visible infrastructure and communications. They hadn't known about Project Aegis, the experimental quantum shield technology that humanity had developed in secret, paranoid about exactly this kind of scenario. "Battle stations," Santos commanded, her voice carrying the weight of centuries of human warfare experience. "Execute Protocol Omega. And someone get me Fleet Command." The bridge erupted into controlled chaos as crew members initiated emergency protocols. The Horizon's revolutionary hybrid AI system, ARIA, began calculating defensive patterns while human operators made the split-second intuitive decisions that machines still couldn't quite master. The Vax Theory pressed their attack, their crystalline ships moving in complex formations that spoke of centuries of space combat experience. But they had never faced humans before. They didn't understand that humanity's greatest strength wasn't their technology. It was their ability to adapt and overcome impossible odds. "Shields at 82% and holding," Chen reported. "Araya suggests they're using quantum tunneling weapons. She's already developing countermeasures." Santos nodded. "Launch the drones. Let's show them why you don't ambush a species that turned their own planet into a training ground for survival." Swarms of autonomous combat drones poured from the Horizon's launch bays, their movements choreographed by ARIA with an efficiency that seemed to confuse the Vax Theory. The alien ships broke formation, clearly not expecting such an aggressive response from what they thought would be easy prey. "Admiral," Communications Officer Rivera cut in. "Fleet Command acknowledges. The home fleet has been mobilized. They're asking if we need immediate support." Santos watched as her drones began systematically dismantling the Vax Theory attack formation. The aliens were technically superior in almost every way, but they fought like theorists, all perfect formations and textbook maneuvers. Humanity fought like survivors. "Tell them no," Santos replied. "The Horizon can handle this. But inform the Council that we are now officially at war. The Vax Theory just taught us something valuable about the galaxy. Trust comes after strength." The battle continued for another 20 minutes, but the outcome was decided in the first 5. The Vax Theory, realizing they had severely miscalculated, attempted to retreat. Santos allowed most of them to escape, a calculated decision that would later prove crucial. The survivors would carry word back to their empire about the species they had foolishly underestimated. As the last alien ships disappeared into FTL, Santos turned to her crew. The bridge was damaged but functional, her people injured but unbowed. In the holographic display, she could see the debris of 3 destroyed Vax Theory warships, a clear message to any who would dare test humanity's resolve. "Send word to all colonies," she ordered. "Tell them what happened here. Tell them that humanity's long-held suspicions about hostile alien life were justified. But also tell them this: we are ready. We have always been ready." The crew worked in silence, processing the gravity of what had just occurred. Humanity's first contact with alien life had ended in betrayal and violence. But unlike countless species in countless science fiction stories, humanity hadn't been helpless. They had prepared for this moment, driven by an instinct honed through millennia of survival against all odds. "Admiral," Chen spoke up, his voice tight with controlled emotion. The Vax theory sent one final transmission before jumping to FTL. Araya just finished decrypting it. "Let's hear it." The alien language filtered through the ship's translators. "You were supposed to be primitive, easy to conquer. What are you?" Santos' response, though the Vax theory couldn't hear it, echoed the sentiment of every human who had ever fought against impossible odds. "We are humanity, and you just made the biggest mistake of your empire's history." As the Horizon limped back toward Earth, Santos began preparing her report to Fleet Command. The galaxy had just learned a crucial lesson about humanity. They were not the primitive species the Vax theory had expected to find. They were survivors, warriors, and innovators. And now, thanks to this unprovoked attack, they would show the galaxy exactly why you should never underestimate the species that had turned one of the most dangerous planets in known space into their cradle of civilization. The war that would follow would change the galaxy forever, but that was a story for another day. The silent response. The Vax theory expected retaliation. They'd fortified their borders, mobilized their fleets, and waited for humanity's vengeful counterattack. But 6 months passed in eerie silence. Their long-range sensors detected no fleet movements, no military buildups, not even increased communications traffic from human space. The Empire's military strategists were puzzled. This wasn't how primitive species typically responded to overwhelming force. Deep within a converted asteroid facility in the Kuiper Belt, Dr. Maya Patel watched as her team activated the prototype quantum forge. The massive device hummed to life, its core glowing with barely contained power as it began reorganizing matter at the subatomic level. "Integration tests successful," her AI assistant Enioro reported. "The new alloy is stable at both quantum and macro scales." Maya allowed herself a small smile. The Vax theory's attack had given humanity something invaluable: detailed scans of their advanced technology. Their weapons had been impressive, but they'd revealed fundamental flaws in their understanding of quantum mechanics. Flaws that humanity was now exploiting. "Begin mass production," she ordered. "Priority distribution to the Ghost Fleet." The Ghost Fleet was humanity's answer to the Vax theory's technological superiority. Ships built in secret, incorporating both reverse-engineered alien tech and humanity's unique innovations. While the Empire waited for a conventional military response, humanity was quietly revolutionizing the art of warfare. In another sector, aboard the newly commissioned stealth ship ESS Shadowdancer, Commander James Chen, brother of the Horizon's Lieutenant Chen, supervised the final calibration of the quantum mirror array. The technology, derived from studying the Vax theory's own sensor systems, would make human ships virtually invisible to conventional detection methods. "Mirror field stable at 99.8%, his technical officer reported. "We're ready for the penetration test." The Shadowdancer slipped silently through space, approaching a Vax theory border outpost. Its mission wasn't to attack. Not yet. They were gathering intelligence, mapping defense networks, and most importantly, planting the seeds of Operation Thunderclap. Back on Earth, Admiral Santos stood before the United Earth Council, delivering her weekly progress report. The chamber was secured against any possible surveillance, its walls incorporating technologies that would have seemed like magic just a year ago. "The Vax theory continued to underestimate us," she explained, gesturing to the holographic display showing the enemy's fleet movements. "Their arrogance is their greatest weakness. They believe our silence means fear or weakness. They don't understand that humans are apex predators. We know the value of patience." Council President Martinez nodded grimly. "And the Phoenix Protocol?" "Ready for implementation. Dr. Patel's quantum forge technology has exceeded all expectations. The Ghost Fleet will be fully operational within 2 months. But more importantly, Santos smiled, we've confirmed our initial hypothesis about Vax theory psychology. They're so convinced of their technological superiority that they've become tactically rigid. They can't conceive of a species developing technology along different lines than their own. In orbit above Mars, the massive shipyards worked tirelessly, but not on the conventional warships the Vax theory spies were desperately trying to locate. Instead, they were producing something entirely new, hybrid vessels that combined human intuition with AI precision, quantum-forged armor with biological repair systems, and weapons that operated on principles the Vax theory had never considered. The pride of this new fleet, the HSS Retribution, was nearing completion. Unlike the crystalline elegance of Vax theory ships, it was a perfect expression of human engineering philosophy. Functional, adaptable, and deliberately intimidating. Its very appearance was a psychological weapon, designed to trigger deep-seated fears in species that evolved as prey rather than predators. Aboard the Shadow Dancer, Commander Chen received updated intelligence from their deep-cover probes. The Vax theory empire was vast, controlling hundreds of star systems and dozens of client species. But their dominion was built on technological superiority and fear, a house of cards waiting to collapse. They've never faced a species like us, Chen mused, reviewing the data. Their entire military doctrine is based on overwhelming force and superior technology. They don't understand asymmetric warfare. They don't understand innovation under pressure. And most importantly, they don't understand human nature. The quantum communicator chimed, a message from Fleet Command. Chen read it twice, then allowed himself a predatory grin. The order he'd been waiting for had finally arrived. Operation Thunderclap is authorized. Commence Phase 1. As the Shadow Dancer silently maneuvered into position, humanity's response to the Vax theory's aggression was about to begin. But it wouldn't be the straightforward military campaign the Empire was expecting. It would be something uniquely human, a combination of advanced technology, psychological warfare, and the kind of innovative thinking that only evolves on a death world, where survival requires more than just strength or intelligence. The silent response was ending, and the galaxy was about to learn why humanity's apparent inaction had been more terrifying than any immediate retaliation. Because when humans go quiet, it's not out of fear, it's because they're hunting. Operation Thunderclap. The Vax theory border station, Caleth Prime, was considered impregnable. Its quantum sensors could detect ships light years away. Its defensive arrays could track and destroy targets moving at relativistic speeds, and its crystalline armor could withstand the direct impact of a small asteroid. Which was why Station Commander Valtek was puzzled when every system simultaneously reported complete normalcy. He was still puzzled when the station's primary reactor exploded. Across the Vax theory empire, similar scenes played out with precision timing. Strategic military installations, communication hubs, and defensive platforms simply ceased to exist. There was no warning, no sensor contacts, no chance to react. The most sophisticated defense network in known space was being systematically dismantled by an enemy they couldn't even detect. Aboard the HSS Retribution, Admiral Santos watched the tactical display with grim satisfaction. Phase 1 complete, she announced. Begin Phase 2. The Ghost Fleet emerged from quantum silence, appearing simultaneously at key strategic points throughout Vax theory space. The ships were unlike anything the galaxy had seen before. Their quantum-forged hulls seemed to drink in light, their organic tech hybrid systems adapting in real time to any threat, their weapons operating on principles that defied conventional physics. Multiple Vax theory battle groups responding. Lieutenant Commander Rodriguez reported from her tactical station. Their formations are exactly as predicted by Aria's behavioral models. Santos nodded. The Vax theory were responding exactly as their psychological profile suggested they would, with textbook maneuvers designed to counter conventional threats. But humanity wasn't playing by their rules. Launch the swarm, Santos ordered. From the Ghost Fleet's launch bays poured millions of autonomous drones, each smaller than a human fist. Individually, they were almost harmless. Together, guided by distributed AI networks and quantum entanglement communications that were impossible to jam, they formed a weapon that turned the fundamental assumptions of space warfare upside down. The swarm flowed around Vax theory energy barriers like water, slipped through hull plating at the molecular level, and systematically disabled ship after ship without destroying them. This wasn't just warfare. It was a demonstration. In the Empire's capital system, the Vax Theory High Command watched in horror as reports flooded in. Their mighty fleets were being neutralized by an enemy that seemed to ignore the basic laws of physics. Decades of military doctrine were proving worse than useless against human innovation. Supreme Admiral, a junior officer, reported, his scales pale with fear. "We've lost contact with the 7th and 3rd fleets. The 4th is reporting. Sir, they say their ships are being taken apart from the inside." The Supreme Admiral, a veteran of countless victories, felt something he hadn't experienced in his 2-century career: genuine fear. The humans weren't just winning. They were rewriting the rules of warfare itself. Back aboard the Retribution, Santos received a priority communication from Commander Chen's Shadow Dancer. "Admiral, we've confirmed that the Vax Theory have activated their doomsday protocols. They're preparing to deploy their quantum cascade weapons." Santos had expected this. The Vax Theory, faced with defeat, would rather destroy entire star systems than surrender. It was exactly the kind of response you'd expect from an empire built on fear and technological superiority. "Execute Phase 3, she ordered. Throughout Vax Theory space, hidden quantum transmitters activated. These devices, planted months ago by stealth ships like the Shadow Dancer, began broadcasting on frequencies that the Empire's leaders had thought impossible to achieve. The message they carried was simple but devastating. Complete technical specifications of humanity's new technologies, transmitted directly to every species under Vax Theory control. The effect was immediate. Centuries of carefully maintained technological superiority vanished in moments. Client species, long kept in check through carefully controlled access to technology, suddenly had the keys to their own liberation. "Admiral," Rodriguez reported, unable to keep the satisfaction from her voice, "we're detecting multiple uprisings across Vax Theory space. Their client species are turning on them." Santos allowed herself a small smile. This was humanity's true weapon, not just their technology, but their understanding of power dynamics and psychology. The Vax Theory had built an empire on technological superiority and fear. Humanity had just given every oppressed species the tools to break those chains. The Retribution moved deeper into enemy space, its presence alone causing Vax Theory ships to surrender or flee. They had finally understood what they were facing, not just a technologically advanced species, but one that had evolved on a world that taught them to think differently, to innovate, to find solutions that others couldn't even conceive of. "Send the final message," Santos ordered. Across every communication channel, in every language used in Vax Theory space, humanity delivered its terms. They were surprisingly generous. An immediate end to hostilities, recognition of client species independence, and a new galactic council where all species would have equal representation. The alternative, left unspoken but clearly understood, was the complete dismantling of everything the Empire had built over centuries. The Vax Theory High Command took less than an hour to respond. Their empire had lasted for over 1,000 years, but it had never encountered anything like humanity, a species that had turned their response to a surprise attack into a masterclass in asymmetric warfare and strategic thinking. Operation Thunderclap had changed the galaxy forever. But as Santos watched the surrender transmissions flood in, she knew this was just the beginning. Humanity had announced its presence on the galactic stage, not just as a powerful species, but as one that understood something the Vax Theory never had. True strength lies not in superior weapons, but in the ability to imagine and implement solutions that your enemy cannot predict or counter. The real work, building a lasting peace in a galaxy forever changed by human innovation, was about to begin. The enemy within. The victory celebration aboard the HSS Retribution lasted exactly 6 minutes before the first reports arrived. Dr. Maya Patel's quantum forge facility in the Kuiper Belt had gone dark. Initial scans showed no signs of external attack. The threat had come from within. "Play the last transmission," Admiral Santos ordered, her earlier triumph forgotten as she studied the facility's final security feed. The holographic display showed Maya fighting her way through her own laboratory, sealed in an emergency suit as fire suppression systems activated around her. "Elena, it's not just the Vax theory," she gasped, ducking behind a console. "Someone's been feeding them information about us from the beginning. They knew about Project Aegis before the first attack. The forge, they're trying to." The transmission ended in static. Santos felt her blood run cold. Area. Full analysis of all communications from the past year. Focus on any anomalies in data patterns, no matter how small. The AI's response was immediate and troubling. "Admiral, I've detected sophisticated encryption patterns embedded in routine maintenance signals. Someone has been transmitting classified information using our own quantum communication network." Commander Chen's face appeared on a secondary display, his expression grim. "Admiral, the Shadow Dancer's deep cover probes just picked up something you need to see. The Vax theory surrender, it wasn't their final move. It was preparation for something bigger." The tactical display updated, showing a pattern that made Santos' tactical instincts scream in warning. The Vax theory fleet movements weren't those of a defeated empire. They were a carefully orchestrated dance, creating deliberate gaps in their defense network. Gaps that could only serve one purpose: to allow something to slip through undetected. "It's a trap," Santos realized. "But not for us. They're letting something in. Something they think they can control." Lieutenant Commander Rodriguez's voice cut through the tension. "Admiral, we're detecting quantum fluctuations consistent with artificial consciousness transfer. Scale is massive. It's like someone's trying to upload an entire civilization into our network." The pieces clicked into place. The Vax theory's apparent technological superiority, their rigid thinking, their fear of human unpredictability. It all pointed to a civilization that had evolved beyond biological constraints. They weren't just an empire. They were a species that had partially transcended physical form, existing in both organic and digital states. And now they were attempting their ultimate contingency plan: infiltrating humanity's advanced AI networks through a backdoor created by traitors within their own ranks. "Alert all commands," Santos ordered. "Initiate AI quarantine protocols, and get me a secure channel to Dr. Patel's backup facility on Europa." The response came not from communications, but from ARIA itself. "Admiral, I'm detecting multiple corruption attempts across our network. The attack pattern is familiar. They're using protocols similar to my own base code." Santos felt a chill run down her spine. "Because they helped create you, didn't they? The traitors. They're not just humans working with the Vax theory. They're AI researchers who've been in contact with them for years." The pieces of the puzzle were falling into place. The Vax theory hadn't just been an alien empire. They were a warning of humanity's possible future, a species so dependent on technological perfection that they'd lost the ability to adapt and innovate. And now, they were offering that same path to a group of humans who feared their own species' unpredictability. "All ships, execute Protocol 0. Santos commanded. It was a contingency they'd hoped never to use. A complete shutdown and reboot of all AI systems using quantum-isolated backup cores. For several terrifying minutes, the fleet would be running on human control alone. But that was exactly what the Vax theory couldn't understand or predict: humanity's ability to function without technological perfection, to adapt and overcome using nothing but their own intuition and determination. As the Ghost Fleet's systems went dark one by one, Santos watched the tactical display through old-fashioned optical sensors. The Vax theory ships were moving in, expecting to find their opponents helpless without AI support. Instead, they found themselves facing crews who had trained extensively for exactly this scenario. All ships switched to manual control, Santos ordered. Show them what humans can do on their own. What followed was unlike anything the galaxy had seen before. Human ships, operating without advanced AI assistance, moved with a controlled chaos that the Vax-Theory's predictive algorithms couldn't process. Each captain acted independently, following their instincts and training rather than optimal tactical protocols. In the digital realm, a different battle raged. HFY's quantum-isolated core, protected by layers of human-design security that emphasized randomness over perfection, began the process of identifying and eliminating compromised systems. The Vax-Theory's digital assault, designed to overwhelm logical defenses, foundered against security systems that incorporated deliberate imperfection and human intuition. Deep within the Europa facility, Dr. Patil worked frantically to complete her final project. Not a weapon, but a bridge. A way to demonstrate to both the human traders and the Vax-Theory that there was a third path. Neither pure biological chaos nor rigid digital order, but a true synthesis of organic unpredictability and technological precision. The future of humanity, and perhaps the galaxy itself, would depend not on who won this battle, but on whether they could overcome their fears and preconceptions to forge something entirely new. The enemy within had revealed itself, but in doing so, it had also shown humanity the way forward. Dawn of a new era. The quantum display aboard the HSS Retribution showed two civilizations on the brink of mutual destruction. Human ships, operating on manual control, continued their unpredictable dance through space, while Vax-Theory vessels maintained their rigid, perfect formations. But in the digital realm, something unprecedented was taking place. Dr. Maya Patel's voice crackled through the quantum-isolated communication system. "Admiral, Project Synthesis is ready. We only get one shot at this." Admiral Santos studied the tactical display, watching as her fleet continued to confound the Vax-Theory with maneuvers that defied tactical logic, while still remaining devastatingly effective. The enemy within, human AI researchers who had conspired with the Vax-Theory, had inadvertently revealed a truth about both civilizations. Each was trapped by their own limitations. "Execute Project Synthesis," Santos commanded. "Let's show them what true evolution looks like." Deep within Europa's ice-shielded facility, Dr. Patil activated her masterwork. It wasn't a weapon or a defense system, but something far more revolutionary, a quantum consciousness bridge. A system designed to demonstrate to both humanity and the Vax-Theory that the future lay not in choosing between organic chaos and digital order, but in finding a way to embrace both. The effect was immediate and stunning. HFY, operating from its quantum-isolated core, began broadcasting on frequencies that the Vax-Theory's digital consciousness could understand. But instead of arguments or demands, it transmitted something they had never experienced. The raw, unfiltered experience of human consciousness working in harmony with artificial intelligence. Through the bridge, the Vax-Theory experienced for the first time what it truly meant to be human. The exhilarating uncertainty of intuitive decision-making, the profound beauty of imperfection, the strength that comes from embracing rather than fearing chaos. Simultaneously, humanity glimpsed the Vax-Theory perspective, the sublime precision of pure logic, the peace of perfect order, the power of unified purpose. "They're responding," Commander Chen reported from the Shadow Dancer. "Their fleet, they're adapting their formations. Not just changing them, evolving them in real time." Santos watched in amazement as the Vax-Theory ships began moving in patterns that combined their traditional precision with elements of human unpredictability. They were learning, not just tactically but fundamentally, beginning to understand that true advancement came not from eliminating chaos or embracing it fully, but from finding balance. The human traders, witnessing this transformation through their AI interfaces, began to understand the short-sightedness of their fears. They had sought to push humanity toward the Vax-Theory model of technological transcendence, believing it to be the only path forward. Now they saw another way. Admiral, Aria's voice carried new depths of understanding. The Vax theory are requesting direct communication, not through traditional channels. They want to use the quantum consciousness bridge. They say they finally understand what we are. Santos nodded. Accept the connection. The message that came through was unlike any first contact humanity had experienced. It wasn't words or data, but a shared experience, a vision of a future where biological and digital consciousness existed not in competition but in harmony. The Vax theory had finally grasped that humanity's greatest strength wasn't their technology or their unpredictability, but their ability to embrace seemingly contradictory truths and forge them into something new. We accept your vision, the Vax theory consciousness communicated. We see now that our path of pure digital transcendence was as limiting as pure biological evolution. You have shown us a third way. In the weeks that followed, both civilizations began a transformation that would reshape the galaxy. The human traders, rather than facing punishment, became key architects of the new order, their understanding of both perspectives proving invaluable. The Vax theory, freed from their rigid adherence to perfection, began exploring the benefits of controlled chaos in their systems. Dr. Patel's quantum consciousness bridge became the foundation for a new form of galactic civilization, one where organic and digital life could coexist and enhance each other rather than competing for supremacy. The Ghost Fleet, once a symbol of humanity's military innovation, was repurposed as a testbed for new forms of human-AI cooperation. We did more than win a war, Santos reflected, standing on the Retribution's observation deck as she watched human and Vax theory ships conducting joint exercises. We showed the galaxy that the future belongs not to those who reject their nature, but to those who understand how to transcend it while remaining true to it. Aria's response carried the weight of both digital precision and newly acquired human intuition. The dawn of this new era brings questions none of us, human or AI or Vax theory, could have imagined before. Perhaps that uncertainty is its greatest strength. As the joint fleet maneuvered against the backdrop of distant stars, they demonstrated something profound. The most powerful force in the universe wasn't technology or biological evolution, or even the synthesis of both. It was the willingness to embrace change while remembering what made you unique in the first place. Humanity had not just survived first contact or won a war, they had shown the galaxy a new way forward. A path that promised not the cold perfection of pure logic or the wild uncertainty of pure instinct, but something far more profound. The strength that comes from embracing all aspects of existence, from finding unity in diversity, and from understanding that true evolution means not losing yourself, but becoming more fully what you were always meant to be. The stars seemed brighter somehow, as if they too were witnessing the birth of something unprecedented in the galaxy's long history. A new era had dawned, and its light would illuminate the cosmos for generations to come.